I'm gonna I'm gonna show you how to name covalent molecules today. And there's really only a couple of things that you need to know to be able to complete these problems. The first thing, I'm going to call these rules, there's 4 of them. The first rule is that the first element gets to keep its name if there's only one of them. And that will make sense when I show you an example. If there's multiple of the first element, you need to use the prefix. So these are opposites of each other. So if there's only one, it gets to keep its name. If there's multiple, then you use these prefixes. These prefixes are only used for covalent molecules. They are not used for any other type of bonding. Ionic, metallic, no. Only covalent. On rule number 3, always use a prefix for the second element, and always is underlined here. And I'll again show you an example. Rule number 4, change the ending of the second element to "ide." That's exactly what you do in ionic bonding. The difference is that in covalent bonding, you not only change the ending of the second element to "ide," but you also use prefixes. We do not use those in ionic bonding. All right, here are my examples. This is an example of rule number 1, where there's just one of the first element. So there's just nitrogen, there's just one of them, and there's 4 hydrogens. So rule number 1 says the first element gets to keep its name if there's only one of them. Okay, so if there's just one nitrogen, I'm going to just write the word nitrogen. And then the second element always uses a prefix, and we change the ending of the second element to "ide." So I'm going to use rule 3 and 4 here. So for the number 4, you come over onto your list right here. The prefix is tetra. So I'm going to write tetra. And then hydrogen. But because I'm changing the ending to "ide," it's hydride. So this name is nitrogen tetrahydride. And you could also back that out. You could create the compound using the name, working it backwards if you have these prefixes. The second one, so this is rule number 2, because there's 3 of the first element. If there's multiple of the first element, then you use the prefix. But there's no prefix if there's just one of the first element. All right, so then I come over here and I look for the number 3, that's tri. So this would be tri-nitrogen. It gets to keep its name because it's the first element, but you just have to add a prefix. And then there's 10 hydrogens. So over here, I'm going to come over and look at the number 10 is deca. So it's deca. And then again, this is hydrogen. So just like the first one, it's hydride. So it's decahydride. Okay. So the only thing that gets the ending changed is the second element. Last one, carbon and oxygen. There's just one of each of them. So because there's only one of the first element, it gets to keep its name. So this is just carbon. And then there's only one of the second element. So because it's the second elements always use a prefix. So I come over here for the number 1. So the only time you're going to use mono is on the second element. You'll never use it on the first. It'd be mono. And then oxygen is oxide. So carbon monoxide, which you may or may not be familiar with, and you may or may not have a carbon monoxide detector in your home right now because it is a very deadly gas. So just to compare, single element here, because it's the first element, we did not use mono. Single element here, because it's the first element, we did not use mono. So the mono prefix is only for the second element. And that's all there is to it.